Live from Fargo and serving you on TV, online, and on the go. This is Valley News Live at 6.
Hundreds of officers and many more community members paid tribute to fallen Grand Forks police officer Cody Holte today, who was killed less than a week ago in the line of duty. They gathered inside Ralph Engelstad Arena, where federal, state, and local leaders, along with family, paid tribute to the police officer, National Guardsman, husband, and father. Valley News Team's Bailey Hurley was there for the funeral and the procession that followed. She joins us live in Grand Forks right now. Bailey?
Mike, the support that came out today by law enforcement was truly overwhelming. There were hundreds of officers. There were people here from almost every city and county in North Dakota, as well as most from the western half of Minnesota. I saw officers from Sioux Falls, from Aberdeen, South Dakota, as well as Iowa and the border. It was truly remarkable to see. It took almost over 25 minutes for them to leave the procession here to lay Officer Cody Holte to rest. But obviously you would assume that Grand Forks Police had a large presence here today. But another agency that came out in force today was Fargo Police, as Officer Holte has a twin brother who serves as a Fargo officer. And Mike, I can only imagine what losing a sibling in something like this is like, but losing a twin just seems that much more devastating to me. Grand Forks Police Chief Mark Nelson spoke today, and he just talked about what a light Officer Holte was. He always had a smile. He always had the best attitude. That's who you went to when you were having a hard day. He just made you a better person as well as an officer. Police Chief Mark Nelson says the Grand Forks Police Department will absolutely never be the same. Live in Grand Forks tonight, Bailey Hurley, Valley News Live.
Thank you, Bailey. The 29-year-old Holte leaves behind a wife and a young son. Among the many paying tribute to Holte today were 27 bikers from North Dakota and Minnesota who were asked by the family to join in the funeral procession. They usually take part in military services. One of them says these rides take an emotional toll that can linger for days after the funeral.
And I don't want to get too political about it, but yeah, I was really saddened that one of our officers that protects our community was shot in the line of duty.
The bikers stood for nearly 3 hours outside holding American flags. Cody Holte was laid to rest this afternoon in the Augustana Church Cemetery in rural Halstead, where he grew up. Halstead and neighboring Hendrum, Minnesota, are remembering Cody as the hometown hero. The town has been lighting it up during this final farewell. The demand to light the communities in blue was so high, they wiped out the FM area of blue lights.
And I don't want to get too political about it, but yeah, I was really saddened that one of our officers that protects our community was shot in the line of duty.
Starting this evening, the Halstead and Hendrum communities will be lighting it up blue for Cody Holte. To see our coverage on that, be sure to tune in on Valley News Live 10 at 10. Well, some good news. We backed off on the heat today, which was good. I'm wondering if there's going to be any more rain tonight like parts of the area saw this morning. Let's find out from our First Alert Chief Meteorologist Hutch Johnson, who's here with a first look at our Tuesday weather planner. Hutch?
Mike, thanks so much. Things are very quiet now, and most of us will enjoy quiet conditions. We did cool off, believe it or not, but temperatures are still mighty warm across the Southern Valley anyways. An isolated shower or two along the northern tier, a possibility this evening. Still 87 degrees in Fargo. We cooled off around 5 to 10 degrees from yesterday's 90s here in the Southern Valley. Some hail overnight. Jade captured this near the Linton area. That's in the just southeast of Bismarck. Huge hail there. Those storms rolled into our area, and we saw clouds like this, Mike. I don't know if you saw them, but all those waves in the atmosphere, clouds allow us to see the motions in the atmosphere, makes those waves a little more apparent. Here's a look at things now. Quiet. Temperatures will be slipping into those 70s after sunset. So a warm evening to mow tonight, whether you're in Fargo or Grand Forks. Cooler air on the way for your Wednesday. More storms as well. I'll have details in your hour-by-hour forecast, Mike, here in a few moments.
Interesting looking clouds for sure. Thanks, Hutch. Moorhead police are looking for this man, 26-year-old Warren Misovich from Fargo, after they tried to stop him several times during a pursuit this afternoon. Video shared with Valley News Live shows officers trying to stop the truck that Misovich was said to be driving. He kept going, and eventually officers ended the pursuit. Police say that Misovich is facing a variety of charges. If you know of his whereabouts, you are asked to contact the Red River Dispatch Center. We're still working to learn the identities of 2 active duty airmen shot and killed at the Grand Forks Air Force Base early yesterday morning. Officials on base said that they believe the incident was isolated and that there was no danger to the public. Base medical teams have been deployed amongst emergency mental health services for those who may be impacted and need help. The search continues for the person who stole a car and crashed it in North Fargo. Investigators say the driver hit a cable median barrier along Interstate 29 near 19th Avenue North. This happened just before 1 a.m., then took off on foot from the crash. Troopers say it doesn't appear the driver was injured, but police couldn't find the man when they searched the area. The car was reported stolen earlier in the night in Fargo. North Dakota is reporting another 4 deaths linked to COVID-19. All of the deaths reported today were Cass County residents. The state's death toll now stands at 65. Only 22 new positive tests were reported today. The active case count is now at 454 in the state. Minnesota is reporting another 22 COVID-19 related deaths, including a Clay County resident. The state's total is now at 1,072. 310 new positives were reported today, bringing the active case count to 4,055. At this hour, cities across the country are bracing for another round of protesters. It's been 8 days since George Floyd died in police custody in Minneapolis. Each of those days and nights have been filled with tens of thousands spilling into the streets, marches at times giving way to violence and looting. More than 20,000 National Guard troops have been deployed in dozens of communities. Jay Gray reports from Minneapolis.
Sweeping away the remnants of destruction, the country seemingly settling into a disturbing routine. Cleaning and clearing away damage, peaceful protests by day. Nightfall, bringing a violent element, more agitator than protester.
People see this moment and they exploit it.
Brazen chaos, wilding out. 2 police officers injured, hit by an SUV in Buffalo. 4 officers injured by gunfire in St. Louis. A store owner shot and killed by police during a protest in Louisville. 2 people killed, 80 or more wounded by gunfire in Chicago. College students pulled from their car and tased by officers in Atlanta. Those officers fired and now facing charges. That's just a partial list of the fallout from more than 300 protester marches since George Floyd's death.
They demean Mr. Floyd's murder by using this as an opportunity for criminal activity.
Hoping to refocus attention to Floyd and demands for change, many in the music industry organizing Blackout Tuesday on social media.
We have to see ourselves as continuing an ongoing movement. And after this moment of spontaneous emotion, I want you to join those organizations and fight the system on a daily basis.
Days and nights filled with uneasy tension and at times aggression. So many cities on edge right now, with those edges beginning to unravel. Jay Gray, NBC News, Minneapolis.
Meanwhile, Minnesota Governor Tim Walz has announced the Department of Human Rights will begin an investigation into the Minneapolis Police Department after filing a civil rights charge related in the death of George Floyd. Joe Biden addressed the nation's unrest in a speech from Philadelphia City Hall this morning. The former vice president praising peaceful protesters and recalling the final words of George Floyd as a wake-up call for the nation. Biden also drawing a stark contrast between his leadership style and President Trump's tactics in the wake of such tragedy, saying that he can provide healing and won't fan the flames of heat.
A country is crying out for leadership. Leadership that can unite us, leadership that brings us together, leadership that can recognize pain and deep grief of communities that have had a knee on their neck for a long time.
Today's speech before a small group of local lawmakers comes one day after Joe Biden spoke to African American leaders at a church in Delaware. Later on Valley News Live at 6, making your vote count as we near the mail-in deadline in North Dakota.
And our first alert, SkyCam Network at the Home of Economy location in Grand Forks, capturing a beautiful sunrise in Grand Forks this morning. We have more sun, a little bit cooler weather, and a few storms to talk about. We'll do that right after the break.